Thank you for joining us once again today. So we're going to look at condensed milk. Everybody loves condensed milk, especially the kids at home. So you can make your homemade condensed milk recipe and enjoy it during your breakfast, your bread time, when you're baking your cakes and all those things. Condensed milk is great. So I'm going to use full cream milk and then sugar, and I'm going to flavor mine with some lemon. Better still, you can use honey if you'd want to go that way, or a sweetener of your choice. So I poured in my milk. Then depending on the quantity of milk and the quantity of sugar you're going to go with, or depending on how sweet you would want it. So you can check the description button for the quantities. But then most important thing is your milk. And then if you're using sugar, it should go in early so that it dissolves and then blends in perfectly. But if you're using something like stevia, which is liquid and a bit from herbs and a bit lighter, you can use it when you're about finishing. If you're using honey, you can use it midway as you're doing it. So you're just going to let your milk cook. Your milk cook and reduce in quantity. Condensed means that like it's thicker, so most of the water has gone off. And when your milk is cooking, it's going to bubble up. So you need to avoid closing your saucepan fully. Or better, so you can just leave it open so that it just cooks faster. So I tend to just create room for the heat and then the foaminess to go away, or to receive some air to cool it down. So you're just going to be mixing, and then stirring as you wait for it to thicken. And that's the thing about condensed milk. It's all about the milk, you cooking it with your sugar or with your sweetener. So it's very, very, very thick. It's very simple to do. It's something which is so easy to do. Now I saw some lemon in there. The lemon was just to flavor it. And you don't want to put lemon in early, because if you put lemon in, your milk will curdle. If you want milk, no, not a separate. You don't want your milk to separate and curdle. So even though you see lemon, I didn't add it in early at all, or else it's going to give me trouble. Around this point, the condensed milk is virtually done. So you realize it's very, very thick. And one thing you should be mindful of is that you shouldn't wait for it to get extremely thick, or else it's going to be too thick for you to work with. Unless you want it very, very thick for your bread spreads and all those ones. You need to know that when it cools down, it's going to be thicker than when it is on fire. And one thing that can also happen is I added this because I wanted to know what could go wrong in there. In this one, I used milk and the milk was frozen. So I realized when I did the vegetables cooked with milk, I had it in bottles. So sometimes when I buy the milk and it's too much, I tend to freeze part of it. Now, when you freeze your milk, there are two things that can happen. If the freezing is not done perfectly, the milk can curdle when you thaw it. Or when the milk expires, it can also curdle up. So you need to be very careful and make sure that your milk is as fresh as possible and you thaw it properly and your freezing is done perfectly. And another thing too is you should not lose sight of it. I did this. This was like a whole liter of milk. I did, and before I realized, I was like, oh, let me sit down small, rest my legs a bit, and come and check. The next moment, I could just smell like something burning. Then I realized that I had burned my milk. And this is because of the milk and then the saucepan I used. I used the enamel saucepan for it. So you need to be careful the type of saucepan you're also using for your condensed milk. So these are some of the things you should be taking note of. And I have glass jars, which are for my nephew's meal time. So I just microwave or heat it to sterilize it before I put in my condensed milk. If you don't have a microwave, no problem. You can have hot water and then bath it inside and then let it, take out the water. Hold it in a way that the water can come out. And then you can pour in your condensed milk into your sterilized jar. And you can just, cover it up and keep it in your fridge for use whenever you're ready, for your ice creams, for your breakfast time, for your baking, and everything you need milk for. So this is how I work or my condensed milk. This is what I do with my condensed milk. And I hope you've learned a lot from this video. So till I see you in the next food video, you can support the channel with your views, with your watch, with your likes and subscription, as well as sharing the video to others. Lots of love from my team and I.